Thank you so much, and welcome to the Insurance Apprentice Season 7. I'm your host, Simon Coleman from SHA, and thank you for joining us once again today. And thank you all for your comments and posts on social media this past week. Don't forget to use the hashtag TIA2021. This week, we continue our quest to find South Africa's ultimate ambassador of the short-term insurance industry. Now, last week, we eliminated 2 contestants, which leaves us with only 8 highly competitive individuals that will do almost anything to become the Insurance Apprentice for 2021. Let's welcome them back. Welcome back, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
I trust you've rested and gathered your thoughts after the trauma of last week's eliminations.
Lots of sleepless nights, Simon.
Really? I was going to say, you're looking a little tired there, Suni.
As you can see.
Yeah, well, hopefully tonight won't be the easy sleep you get because you've been fired, right? I mean, I'm not prejudging or anything. Fiona, how are you doing? You just narrowly scraped through last week.
Yeah, it's time for some redemption.
Okay, well, good luck to you. All right, this episode is brought to you by Hollard, South Africa's largest privately owned group, offering short-term and life insurance products to individuals, commercial clients, and corporate entities. Let's take a look at this week's theme.
Hollard presents Big Ads for Small Business, featuring Ground One Coffee. We supply locally roasted wholesale coffee with personalized services.
Hollard presents Big Ads for Small Business, featuring Journey Leather. Originally inspired by our dad's leatherwork, we now have a range of handcrafted luxury leather goods, personalized just for you.
Hollard presents Big Ads for Small Business featuring Connie Wines. We are a proudly Black-owned wine brand. Order online today.
Hollard presents Big Ads for Small Business featuring Moja Chicken. Our unique secret sauce makes our grilled chicken so Moja.
All right, so I think, John, you were a little quiet after that last session. I mean, you had the final votes, but unfortunately it didn't count. Fortunately for Fiona, that is. How are you feeling today?
No, feeling refreshed. Needed to put that behind me and soldier on. It's a new day, it's a new week. We're in it to win it here.
Excellent. Kevin, you've recently started your own business. I gather you're focusing on SMEs as part of your target market. Is that right?
The market is kind of tough now because of the COVID and everything, but because we are in it to win it in every aspect of our lives, we are doing it.
You think having some experience with SMEs is going to stand you in good stead in this task today?
Yes.
Okay, great. Taffy, you were very, very noisy at the beginning of the last episode, and then you just sort of petered out at the end. How's your energy level today? What was going on for you?
Nah, today I'm in it.
You get that if you're eliminated, there's no reinstatement or anything, right? This isn't a limit of indemnity.
There's no restatement card or something.
Okay, excellent. Anele, I was a little worried about you in that last episode. Again, you came through those early elimination episodes very strong. And then you were kind of in that group, the wallflower group, if I can call it that. What's your strategy today?
The perks of being a wallflower, because it's a movie title. No strategy today other than to do my best and hopefully bring the fire out. Well, not literally.
Guys, I just want to, this is to all of you now, except Masechabo, I think needs to maybe learn how to keep quiet every now and again. But to the rest of you, I want you to lift yourselves up, get your personalities out. There are no second chances, so make it all happen. Masechaba, maybe you can give them some lessons. Are you wearing your watch today, Masechaba?
I've got a stopwatch next to me.
You have a stopwatch next to you. Okay, great.
Lesson learned.
Lesson is learned. All right, so with such a short amount of time to wrap your head around the theme, it's time once again for Rapid Risk. Now in Rapid Risk, our contestants will be asked 10 multiple choice questions. For every correct answer, they'll be awarded 6 points, which will move them up the leaderboard. The first person to get that answer correct scores an additional 4 bonus points. The contestant with the lowest score at the end of the game will be eliminated, while the remaining 7 contestants will advance to the next round. Contestants, are you ready?
Yep. Yes, we're ready, Simon.
Yes, we are.
Name one of the top 5 sectors that held growth opportunities for SMMEs in 2019. Is it A, tourism, B, manufacturing, C, infrastructure, D, agriculture? Lock those answers in. Remember those critical bonus points. This is for elimination. The correct answer was A, tourism. And the fastest response was Fiona. Fiona coming back strong. There's that redemption that you were looking for, Fiona.
Yeah, let's keep it up.
All right, next question. What percentage did small, not medium businesses contribute to the South African total turnover in 2019? Was it A, 15%, B, 22%, C, 30%, or D, 27%? The answer was B, 22%. Only one person got that correct. I guess that means, Sumit, you were the fastest. You don't always have to be fast, you just got to be right, okay? All right, Sumit, you're looking calmer.
For now, Simon, for now.
All right. Congratulations on those bonus points. Let's move on to the next question. What percentage of enterprises globally are SMMEs? Is it A, 75%, B, 50%, C, 95%, or is it D, 60%? Get those answers in. And the correct answer was C, 95%. But the fastest correct answer, Anele. No longer the wallflower, grabbing those bonus points with both hands. Well done. Kevin, just curious, just asking, just from my side, why is it that you haven't got a single question right yet?
I think it's the nerves, but I'm trying to calm myself down and focus more.
You're trying to calm yourself down. Let me help you.
Yeah.
If you don't start getting them right, you're going to be going home. Got it?
Got it, yeah.
But you're not alone. Brendan, let me guess, correct answers aren't your thing.
No, it's just a bad start. Let's hope it's a good end.
If you don't start getting some correct answers, you'll be packing your bags. Actually, you won't. You'll just be going into your bedroom from wherever you're sitting right now at home. All right, next question. How many SMMEs are there estimated to be in South Africa? Is it A, 150,000, B, 250,000, C, 500,000, or D, 1 million? I expect everyone to get this right. Only one correct answer. B, 250,000, and it's Brendan. Oh, making a big comeback. Picking those questions that no one else knows the answer to. Nice one, Brendan. Welcome to the game.
Thank you.
Next question. What is often cited as the biggest and most critical factor to SMME growth in South Africa? Is it A, licensing requirements, B, business taxation, C, premises costs, or D, access to funding? Remember those critical bonus points. Everyone got that right. It was D, access to funding. And the fastest correct answer was John. Welcome, John. It's nice of you to join us today.
Going wild.
Kevin, I want to congratulate you personally for getting one question right.
Thank you.
You are a hero in my books, and welcome to the game. It's not too late. Moving on. Next question, please. What percentage of startups in South Africa fail within 2 years of being in operation? Is it A, 50%, B, 25%, C, 66%, or D, 70%? Only 2 correct answers. The correct answer was D, 70%. But the fastest correct answer was Masechaba. Well done, Masechaba. Looking to redeem yourself just quietly in the background there. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Masichaba, that was an interesting reaction you had there. Are you okay?
No, I am. Like, I'm concentrating so hard on the screen that I think I'm a bit frozen.
Maybe you should have a chat to Sumit. All right, next question, please. In what two areas have small businesses increased their influence since 2013? Is it A, catering and restaurateurs, B, childcare and home care services, C, security and energy services, or D, construction and business services? Lock those answers in. Your time is up. The correct answer was D, construction and business services. The fastest correct answer was Fiona. Congratulations, Fiona. Kevin, let's have a chat. You live in South Africa, right?
Yes.
And you also live on this planet, therefore. And
Yes.
you would probably be aware that the travel and tourism accommodation sector may have been adversely affected by the pandemic.
Yes, I know that.
What answer did you go for?
I went for C. The thing is, I was trying to be the fastest in answering and I selected the wrong answer.
There's that unbelievable strategy of fastest incorrect answer, failing as one would expect it to. Change your strategy, Kevin. You are rooted to the bottom of the table, but it's not too late to grab those bonus points. Fiona is sitting comfortably in the lead with 42 points. Anele just behind her at 40 points, followed by Masichaba. We've got Sumit and Taffy tied on 34 points. Kevin trailing with a measly 12 points. Not too late to lift yourself out of the bottom of the table. Next question. In 2020, what was the global CEO's highest ranked threat? Was it A, overregulation, B, climate change, C, uncertain economic growth, or D, cyber threats? Grab those critical bonus points. The correct answer was A, overregulation. No one got that right. Well done, guys, well done. Good consistency throughout the team. All right, next question, please. Which country is best positioned in terms of exposure to natural hazards and preparedness for same? Is it A, Finland, B, Singapore, C, Sweden, or D, Britain? Get your answers in. Your time is up. And one correct answer, which was A, Finland, and the correct and most, the fastest response. Oh my God, Kevin! Congratulations! Kevin is operating in some inverse parallel universe right now and is taking the game to the competitors. Well done, Kevin.
Thank you.
Was that a guess or did you actually know that?
No, it was a guess.
Fortune is smiling upon you. All right, thank you for being honest as well. All right, and the last question. Which country is worst positioned in terms of exposure to natural hazards and preparedness for same? Is it A, the USA and Singapore, B, China, India or Indonesia, C, Mozambique, Japan and Sri Lanka, or D, Australia and New Zealand? So only two correct answers. Correct one being China, India or Indonesia, which was option B. And the fastest correct answer was Sumit. Well done, Sumit. You finished that round strong. Hopefully that's enough to carry you through. All right, so taking a look at the leaderboard, we had Sumit and Fiona leading the top of the pack. Actually, Fiona tied with Anele on 52 points, followed by Taffy, Masichaba, John, Brendan, and unfortunately, Kevin with a measly 22 points. Kevin, you filled in your proposal form. You've been underwritten, and your further participation in this competition has been declined. You are dismissed. All right, guys, you are in the top 7 now. You've survived. You've survived another round. Taffy, you're just sitting there quietly, like you were very confident when I was chatted to you before we started these elimination rounds. How are you feeling now? Humbled, perhaps?
I'm quite humbled.
You're feeling humbled?
Humbled.
Okay. Well, there's nothing like almost getting fired to be actually humbled. Let's see how you fare in the next task. Coming up after the break is our new premium presentation challenge, where we'll find out whose journey will be coming to an end in this week's elimination. We'll be right back after this.
You walk past them every day. You pop in with Tole coffee. You pop out with fresh laundry. It's where you get Eza pies that just aren't the same anywhere else. Yes, we're talking about small businesses. They've had a rough time lately, so we're doing something about it. With Big Ads for Small Business, we're sharing our ad space with some of the small businesses of SA to help them get back on their feet. Sibasize bavuke nabo. Because helping them creates better businesses, better communities, a better South Africa, and better futures.
And welcome back to the Insurance Apprentice. I'm now joined by my fellow judges. Representing Hollard Insure, Keith Bester. Keith is not only a key sponsor, but is also a former contestant on this very show. Welcome, Keith.
Thanks, Simon. Good to be here.
Keith, what made you guys decide to sponsor this particular task?
Well, the Insurance Apprentice has always been important to Hollard Insure, and today we know the plight of small businesses in South Africa, especially following the coronavirus pandemic, and we're looking for true solutions to find the way forward in solving these problems for our small businesses. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Keith. And on my right, of course, is my co-judge Knox Dlamini, who hates me, as you will remember. She is also not just a hater, but a managing director of Zonrisk and a previous crowned insurance apprentice. Welcome back, Knox.
Thank you. Still here.
All right, so without further ado, it's time for premium presentation. Right, so in premium presentation, the contestants are divided into two groups. Following a brief from our episode sponsor, each team will be given 5 minutes in a private breakaway room to construct a spot presentation using their collaborative insurance expertise. Now, each team will have just 4 minutes to present, and this time must be divided equally amongst all the team members. If the team's presentation is poor and deviates from the brief, the judges, myself included, may hit the buzzer at any time. Just like that. If a team gets 3 buzzers, they will have to stop their presentation immediately. Now, after each presentation, the teams will receive feedback from the judges. We will then deliberate and decide on the losing team, sending the weakest contestant packing. Keith, take it away.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, apprentices, and well done on making it this far. As a past contestant myself, I know how tough this competition can be, especially in the current format where you do not get to cry on each other's shoulders after you are fired. But that does not mean we're not going to be tough on you today. After all, the aim of this competition is to find the best of the industry and to raise up talent, and we need the best out of each of you today. So before we get going, I just want to let you know that Hollard Insure will be sponsoring each of you for making it this far a small gift related to today's task, and I'm sure each of you will love it when you get it, so well done and enjoy the gift. As part of Hollard Insure's goal of becoming South Africa's favourite short-term insurer, we aim to create and secure better futures for all South Africans. And part of this initiative is Hollard's Big Ads for Small Business campaign. In this campaign, we have selected a number of small businesses in South Africa where we are using Hollard's advertising space for these small businesses to promote and advertise what they do as a business and hopefully enable them to grow. So in terms of today's task, each team will be getting 2 businesses, and they have to select one of those businesses to do the task on, and then you'll provide feedback on this in a moment. But before we get there, I just want to introduce the 4 businesses to you. We have got Coney Wines, which will be going to Team A along with Moja Chicken, And then Team B will be receiving Journey Leather and Ground 1 coffee. So today's task, we would like you to select one of these businesses that have been given to you and present back to us the following points. Firstly, the reason why you chose the business that you chose. Secondly, identifying the risks that face this business from both an insurance business and an environmental perspective. And then how would you mitigate these risks? How would you help these small businesses to remain sustainable and grow into the future? And then lastly, an overall view on how we're going to help SMMEs in the South African market and any possible initiatives that you think would be good to assist SMMEs grow in the South African market. Thank you, Simon.
Great, thanks Keith. Very noble task. I hope you all take it seriously. So you've already been divided into your two teams. Team A is Sumit, Brendan and Anele, and Team B is John, Fiona, Taffy and Masichaba. Now use this time wisely to collaborate and don't hog the time, Masichaba, and dissect the brief as best as possible. Your time starts now. Yeah, okay, Keith, is there like one thing that if it happens, you're going to go, right, winning team?
We interviewed these businesses. Some of these businesses don't have insurance. So when you ask them, like, how are you covering your stock that you're delivering to clients? Do you have GI? I don't even have insurance because I use my own car. And, I'm really hoping that the contestants pick up on stuff like that.
Sure.
Okay, guys. Did they say 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
We've got the insurable risks, which is pretty standard, I think, in terms of cover that could be offered.
It's fine. Let's move on from introduction. While we chose them, we think it's a growing SMME that can have global footprint. Brendan, you love them. You can intro them.
I do.
Yeah, so I think the contestants have got enough content to go through here, really understand the businesses, understand their needs. Some fascinating stuff. We interviewed these businesses.
Oh, you actually spoke to them?
Yeah,
okay.
So I've spoken to the owners of these businesses and we created this content around their feedback.
Did we see where they take on?
No, it doesn't say. No, they don't. It says, do you have insurance? No, only personal insurance and not business insurance.
Ensure good training of staff, because of the poor quality that they mentioned, they're worried about poor quality coffee and maintenance plans and stuff like that.
We look at what physical. Gosh, I'm really under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, no, with me as well.
I wonder how many SMEs actually don't have insurance then. I mean, this is like
So two of them do and two of them don't.
Yeah.
And that's just the 4 I interview out of the 12. And I'm sure if I had to go into our campaign and actually ask more of them, I think this is something that they haven't even thought about as a business.
They don't have any cover. They don't even have casualty liability cover, no cyber liability. So what happens is somebody hacks their
online booking system.
Yes.
Okay.
These are just options that we're going to look at possibly down the line when cash flow is better.
So, so on that one, I think maybe we should leave office contents and business all risk. Then we put the generator under fire. What do you think?
Yeah.
Is that your experience as well? You're selling insurance to people that don't have any at the moment.
And people who don't even understand or appreciate the need and the importance of having insurance.
If they have proper risk management and risk mitigation, that frees up capital in one way, or frees up the stress in terms of worrying.
Yes.
Should anything happen, is it coming down my cash flow? It shouldn't.
In terms of maybe how they can grow their revenue, instead of only focusing on coffee, because what attracts other things, like when you want coffee, do you want cakes and all stuff like that? Do they offer?
So maybe possibly expand over time
product diversification.
Guys, what's the next one is pressure.
Are we looking for that? I mean, do we want these guys to say, clearly there's an awareness problem here or a lack of education around insurance? Are you wanting them to deal with that?
Absolutely.
And come up with a way of doing it?
In talking to some of these businesses, we sort of asked them questions and the penny started to drop, saying, wow, you're right, if that happened, if that factory that supplies that one particular item to me burnt down, we wouldn't have a business anymore. Or if my studio burnt down, I wouldn't have a business anymore, and they haven't. I mean, they're so busy trying to make it happen that they forgot to protect their risks.
So they rely on their vineyards to supply them, and if major fires and stuff happen to them, then their business is basically crippled if they do not have alternate supply.
Then I've got the alternative to insurance, because these are all the insurable risks on the one before, which is where we mentioned coffee's commodity, drought at the source of the coffee beans could be detrimental to the business over a period of time.
The current commercial policy, or the offerings that are out there, are actually overly complex for a small business. They're overpriced because they've got bells and whistles that they may not even need.
The risks that we mentioned previously, whether they are risks that your team do not believe warrant mitigation, so we maybe just need to have a look at that, our list as well, and just decide on what is important for the client now and what is not important for the client now.
You'll have measures and systems in place. You'll have insurance in place should anything happen, and you're freed up to then take on more risk potentially.
All right, teams, welcome back with Team A. So over to you. Your time starts now.
Introducing Connie Wines. Connie Wines is a proudly South African black female-owned business. It's a wine brand based in the Western Cape of South Africa. We feel that Connie Wines has great opportunity and potential in the market, considering that South African wines are known for their quality, not just locally but internationally. So there's great export potential for the business. In terms of the business, it builds itself on the wine heritage that South Africa has, and it basically lends itself to the local economy and the growth opportunity that it has, that it can bring into the South African economy in terms of growing the GDP. Our team have selected this brand because we feel it's a strong brand, especially in the South African context. And I'm going to hand you over to Sumit to look at some of the risks that this brand faces.
Thank you, guys. So, there are various risks that the business faces. We're just going to highlight the physical risk, the insurance risk, the business risk, and the environment risks. From a physical risk perspective, they rely on one supplier or vineyard to provide them with the grapes in order to produce their wine. And the risk there is, the supply goes down. There's a huge fire. There's a flood that damages crops. How do they get supply over to them? From an insurance perspective, they only purchase personal lines insurance, which is a risk for them. Again, you're relying on a single supplier to provide you with the grapes, a single supplier to make your wine for you. If those entities go down due to physical damage, who then the chain is broken. How do they continue their business? How do they turn a profit? That's major for them. The cash flow is a problem for them, and that's a business risk for them. From an environmental perspective, we're looking at climate change, and I mean we have all said this. We have 4 seasons in one day, and climate change is just horrendous. It's giving us unpredictable weather, and again they're relying on a single vineyard to provide them with the supply of grapes, and who knows what's going to happen, whether a tornado might hit that vineyard. They need to obviously consider other suppliers in different geographies to mitigate that factor. Excuse me, guys. And also, from an insurance risk, fair enough, they own the brand, and I guess that they will rely on their suppliers to take on their own insurance. But we need to have a look at what their contractual obligations are and what those limitations are. Are they in trouble? They don't get funding from the business, and they are SMME, but no financial support. If you're not turning a profit, if you're not going out into the different markets, it's a big problem for the business. I'm going to hand over to my colleague now in the interest of time to talk about mitigations, and I do apologize that I had to go so very fast.
Right, so risk doesn't mean the end of the day. Connie Wines can do something about it, and that's why we've chosen them. From a physical risk perspective, understanding that they are looking at quality of grapes, they can look across different geographies and regions that may have a similar quality or meet the standard that they're looking for. To address Sumit's concerns on insurance risks, they can purchase insurance through Hollard, who offer these great products in terms of agriculture as well as business risks for Connie Wines. That can cover things like gross profit and contingent BI extensions following their property damage in their assets or risks or other policies. Looking at cyber insurance as well as liability, looking at I2 and other companies that can offer that. In terms of business risks, no ways.
Dear.
Thank you for your presentations. Felt like a bit of a wild ride there. Okay, so I think we're gonna ask you some questions now, just to dig a little deeper. Keith, do you want to sort of kick us off there?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Simon. So thanks, guys. I know there was a lot to get through in a very short period of time, so I think well done on what you did there, and I understand how quickly you had to go through everything. So I like what you've picked up in terms of the contractual obligations between themselves and the supplier. The owner of the business is very particular about her quality, and therefore that's why she only chooses one supplier. But I think one of the risks is the owner of Connie Wines does not own the vineyard. So how do you insure her risk when she is obtaining the insurance on, say, the vineyards themselves? How do you cover that risk?
So we're looking at, purchasing business interruption cover for their own loss of profits, but also carving in a contingent business interruption extension. So a loss or damage that occurs at a supplier that would be covered by the policy would then extend to cover them for their loss of profits as a result. So I think that would be the major way of covering them against physical damage, at their supplier's premises.
And I think just to elaborate on that, Sunit, you touched on it, Keith, about the contractual obligations that can be imposed on Connie Wines, but also that Connie Wines can impose on the supplier themselves to ensure that they have the proper cover in some shapes and forms, so that they can be compliant where there isn't the insurable risk, obviously.
Knox?
Thanks for the presentation, contestants. I have a couple of questions, and I'm specifically looking for a non-insurance answer to this, so that's a tip. But the single supplier risk, how do they actually go about mitigating this?
They could look at perhaps speaking to their current supplier and finding out if they belong to specific organizations or groups that they'd be happy with collaborating with. And by doing that, you're not really pushing your supply completely out. You're rather growing the network that they already have. So rather, perhaps they could use their supplier to see what networking opportunities they are available for them.
Okay.
I'd like to just sort of probe the idea of, non-insurance risks that are facing SMEs. And of course, one of the objectives in your presentation was really to look at initiatives that could support small businesses. Have you given any thought to that?
So that was going to be my end game of the presentation. And basically what we said, that's obviously very similar to what Hollard is actually doing at the moment, but it's more relating to marketing opportunities that the smaller brands can actually gain from bigger companies that are available out there. So by linking and trying to sort of relate their brands to the bigger suppliers and the bigger stores that are out there, that's one important thing that SMEs could look at. The other thing is, I know you guys said it's not insurance related, but by looking after some of their risks, it gives them sort of more opportunity to invest their capital or be a bit more risky with their capital in terms of investing more to be able to expand the smaller businesses that they have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Guys, this is an existing business, right? If you could sit with the owner right now, what would you say Connie Wines needs? We're sitting here as risk experts and you guys are throwing out all these answers at us, but this is a real life situation. So if the owner was sitting right here, what would you say they needed?
Firstly, I would say, like Sumi said, a great broker. But before and above that, to do a shop around, look at where their gaps are. And that would start with actually a BCP or SWOT analysis to say, okay, this is where are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, what do I have, what don't I have? Can this business continue if I lost a supplier? And she talks about, it will take about 18 months to find a new supplier. that will be something that she needs to start doing today, should her supplier not be available anymore. So it's just looking at her interdependencies to say, I don't do anything physically, but if I were to lose those physical suppliers right now, what would I do? So to speak in the negative to herself and then look at the positive on that, on how she can take the steps forward.
All right, thank you Team A for your presentation. We're going to move over now to Team B. Your preparation time is up and your presentation time starts now.
Today I have the honor of presenting to you Ground One Coffee. They are a turnkey coffee solutions company, and they do roasting, packaging, as well as wholesale coffee to businesses as well as personal customers. In addition to this, they also provide support. They do training of baristas and maintenance of machinery. In addition on this as well, they rent out coffee machines as well. So I'm sure you would ask, why did we select this company? Coffee is of course something that we use every day, some more than others of course, and that's why we could completely relate with this company, and that's why we chose this company.
Good day, judges. Considering the exposures that the client might face, we have looked at possible covers for them, which stem from fire in Peru's, which covers them for stock, plant and machinery and contents, and also we placed the generator under there with an extension for power surge. We looked at the business interruption as a possible cover for them with different extensions that stem from suppliers extension and also customers extension, and also an additional increase in cost of working, and also public utilities due to the fact that the load shedding is ongoing. We also consider the office contents. However, some of the covers are going to be removed as we proceed. We looked at the health and accident cover for the employer and also employees for accidental injuries or damages, or we look at permanent and temporary disability. And we also looked at death and medical expenses. We look at machinery breakdown, and we also looked at goods
Are you going to go through the entire multi-mark schedule here? Let's keep the dice rolling. I think you're eating into your teammates' time, Taffy.
So in respect to the alternative risks that the businesses face, is that coffee in itself, in the very instance of what it is, it's a commodity-based business. And obviously the levels of this must be monitored quite closely by the business. This will also go down the line to stock level management, and something that the business is not directly responsible for, but the actual growth of the crop, something like drought or peril at the source of the coffee, as well as environmental changes, could be detrimental to the business over time. Hand in hand with that is global shipping is also a risk, and lockdown or government restrictions to trade going forward could also become a problem. Cash flow management was highlighted as a problem, maintenance of the plant and the machinery, and then also the business has a lack of access to funding.
The clock is ticking, guys.
Fiona, this is just... Guys, I was supposed to do the conclusion, but anyway, let's look at the risk recommendations at this stage. So we would recommend, because it's a small business and the income of the business is quite low, we would recommend that they find alternatives to sourcing insurance. So things like maintenance plans, then they've now lowered the risk of machinery breakdown, and things like building up of cash over time, and only insuring the necessary assets and liabilities, training of staff, because they have mentioned that one of the major risks is baristas who are not trained. In terms of the last bit, where we're talking about the initiatives that can be put in place in the market in order to assist these businesses, one of the key things that these businesses struggle with is funding and exposure. So in terms of funding, micro-lending could be a solution.
Time is up. Thank you. Yeah, interesting use of time there. There were lots of gaps when nothing was being said, which was a complete waste. You could have probably got through your whole presentation. Keith, anything kind of jump out for you there?
What are some clever and creative ways of ensuring business sustainability for this business?
I think I'll come in on that one. So for this type of business, there's a lot of other small businesses they could collaborate with. You know, coffee is complementary to the catering business, coffee is complementary to the baking business. So they could look at collaborating with other micro businesses, and this could also in turn create more jobs in that space. And marketing, I mean, right now we're in the digital space. Everything is Instagram and everything is LinkedIn. So what they could be looking at is maybe a partnership with one of the bigger companies where a company can maybe come in and advertise a small business for a day on their LinkedIn profile. What they can do is collaborate with Instagram models. It's a coffee brand. If someone who is popular with 1 million followers is holding your coffee cup or buying your coffee brand to use in their house, you're more likely to reach the younger generation that are easily influenced by the social space.
Thank you, guys.
Knox?
So I just want to start off by saying thanks to Taffy for the refresher course on commercial policies. We all needed that. Why would a business of this nature not take out insurance?
I think the problem with the funding, maybe that might be the reason why affordability can be brought into account. Maybe they can't afford it at this stage, hence why they opt not to have cover. That's why the initial attempt was to try and educate them on what sort of exposures they are to, so that at least we can tailor-make a certain solution for them in terms of insurance packaging.
I mean, what's the cost versus reward of a risk event occurring? So they train baristas. What happens if somebody gets scalded?
It would end up costing the business more in the long run if they weren't insured in an instance like that, if somebody was scalded. The cost versus reward, if the basic covers for the business are taken, sort of your fire classes and your general liability classes, would probably serve the business very well in the long run. You can start looking at the larger, more expensive covers down the line when the business is trading at a higher income level, where they've got more money to be able to pay for more expensive type covers.
Sorry, Fiona, can I just add to Knox's question there? So I know that this business trains baristas that may not actually be employed by them, employed by coffee shops who sell their coffee. How would, in the same scenario, actually affect Ground One Coffee if a barista at a coffee shop that they trained burns someone?
Well, in that instance, it would be the coffee shop that's employing that barista. He would be injured on duty, and that would form part of the coffee shop, form part of their insurance and their sort of responsibilities. I wouldn't imagine the responsibility would go from Ground One.
In terms of the Consumer Protection Act, I'm not too sure if that's correct.
You're referring to a customer getting injured, not the barista themselves.
Customer, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some liability issues there that you guys are still going to have to unpack. Knox, you had something else there?
No, it was just that. And I mean, I think when I asked the cost versus reward question, I expected that affordability response to come up. So you guys started up by giving us all the sections of a commercial policy. If affordability is an issue, why would you suggest all those covers to start off with? What are their most pressing concerns? And we didn't get that liability exposure, which is really huge in this regard, coming through.
All right, great. Team B, thank you for your presentation. We'll deliberate and get back to you shortly. Thank you.
Ooh-wee.
That was horrible.
That was something else.
So, what do you think?
No, I definitely think that this particular team over here did better than the other team. They were short, sharp, to the point, and I think it got a lot over.
Their presentation flowed. I mean, this guy, I thought he was rattled before. I see that now. He's just like manic, you know.
I think he gets it, and he's got a lot to say, and he wants to get it out there. And I don't think he's rattled. I think that's just his way.
Imagine if you're this company, you're this coffee roasting business, and this insurance person walks in and presents you with this list of
Office
things.
contents.
And I must say, I do think that from a regulatory perspective, brokers are obliged to do this, but they could have at least said, look guys, there's a long list of things that you need here. I'm going to leave this with you, but these are the 3 or 4 things that you actually cannot do without.
SMEs and SME owners are so busy wearing all the hats and making sure that their businesses survive. They don't need you throwing policy wording at them. Have a discussion with them about their business. And as you do that, you point out the exposures and they realize it in real time as well. And then you put together a solid plan about how to actually systematically cover these, and over time, and it becomes a risk management journey that you walk with them rather than just an insurance policy that they're buying.
Absolutely. How amazing was this one today?
Oh, star.
Huh? Like so good.
Shot it out.
I mean, really responds better, I think, to the Q&A than the presentation.
Correct.
We have to send somebody home today, and I'm kind of leaning towards this one. What do you guys think?
It was a disappointing performance today, and it's a pity. I would have liked to see more from him. I think there's something there, but I don't know if that's reason enough to keep him in the contest.
It's a challenging situation when you're in a competition like this. You want to see someone. I was waiting for someone to step up and say, guys, I actually have something to contribute to the conversation.
Yes.
But they just let it go, and they didn't really step up. There's opportunity, the points were made, and it carried on.
But I actually have to commend this star right here.
This one.
In terms of looking wider than the policy and really giving us a succinct list of risks, exposures, and possible solutions in the time frame that she had. Absolutely brilliant performance today. Impressive.
Yes. The individual that I think should go home today, I think had a sort of scripted list that they were quite happy to run through, and there wasn't a great deal of contribution to the task as a whole.
I'm not saying I disagree with that, but my only concern is that they also didn't contribute as much as I think they could have.
And this is the second such instance.
Yeah.
I almost feel like they're scraping through.
So there's a balance here, because he may have got a script and a challenge to add more to it. And that just was the task that he was given. I mean, he could have done it differently, no doubt.
But he could have pushed back.
Yeah.
He said, guys, I'm not delivering a schedule here. Let me just pick 3 things here and let me talk about that.
So I think we can agree that the decision needs to be made between these two.
I think we're ready. Thank you. Thanks for your presentations, both teams. Appreciated it. I'm going to hand over to Keith now just for a quick review of what he heard today. Keith?
Thank you, Simon. Well done, teams. Once again, I think today's task was challenging. There's a lot to go through. You had many businesses to choose from. You obviously chose your preferred businesses to do this task on. In terms of the content and the feedback that we got from you guys, it was very in-depth and I think almost too much, but obviously a challenge to get through the right things with the limited time that you had. Well done to Team A on Connie Wines and identifying some of the key risks to them, and I think some of the ideas around collaborating with some of the other wine farms, etc. were good, and some of those ideas can be taken forward. So well done to you guys. Team B, Ground One Coffee, also another complex small business. I think it was a challenging task, and once again, well done on the presentations. But over to Simon. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. I thought the presentations were okay today. I thought one team did particularly well. Team A, I thought that you really nailed it. I thought your presentation was concise. The questions, as you answered them, I thought were very good. Anele, I really want to compliment you. I thought you owned it today, especially in the Q&A section. You had some really good answers there, well thought out, on your feet. So congratulations to Team A. You guys are safe today.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Team B, not so lucky. I thought the presentation was quite erratic. There was information overload. You did, of course, get a buzzer, Taffy, for just kind of vomiting out every insurance policy known to man. which is a mistake that underwriters often make. And brokers are obviously a little more astute at doing that because they have to filter the information. But it was too much. And that really, I think, cost you guys the first place today. So you are not safe. But as we saw with our previous episode, it was very difficult for us to decide who to send home. We're not going to put this to a vote to you as the team. The two lowest scores in today's task were Taffy and John. We're going to do things a little differently. Knox is going to ask you both a question. You're going to get asked the same question, and then you'll have 30 seconds to answer. We will then vote as judges individually on who goes home today. So, Knox, over to you.
Thanks, Simon. I think before we continue, we just need an indication of who's going to go first so there aren't any time delays.
I can.
Okay. We need a solution or initiative on how we as an industry can really help SMEs secure better futures.
Your time starts now.
Okay, thank you. I think we need to create innovative products for the SMEs so that at least they are packaged for their kind of businesses that they have, and also help them to collaborate and connect them with other businesses that within the industry so that they can at least help each other and also grow and support one another and mentor them in these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Taffy. All right, John.
I would say for sure cheaper cyber risk insurance. As in the Global Risk Report, this was the number one risk facing businesses, and especially the fact that smaller SMEs or SME businesses are the ones that are being targeted by this. And an event like that does mean the end of a SME most times. So the support from insurance companies to provide cheaper cyber risk policies would go a long way in supporting SME businesses. Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, let's put it to a vote. Keith, who do you vote leaves today?
John.
Knox.
John.
All right, John, well, that's decided. I have to say I wanted to punch myself in the face when I heard you talking about cyber. I think that what Knox was asking for was, some creative ideas on how we can help SMEs to be successful in the future. To focus on something like cyber, I don't think that that's going to be the most important thing to them. And I think that suggestion actually cost you your position today. The holes in your risk management strategy have been exposed, and we've got no option but to terminate your policy with immediate effect. John, you are dismissed. With 2 more eliminated, we now have only 6 contestants in the running to become the Insurance Apprentice 2021. Knox, is there anything you'd like to say to our final 6?
Guys, I think it's getting pretty obvious that the competition's getting tougher. And what we're looking for is stretching you beyond your insurance roles. So think about that and really come through to give us strong solutions and value propositions next time.
Thanks, Knox. All right, thank you once again to our episode sponsor, Hollard Insure, and of course to Keith for joining us as a guest judge today. Good to see you again, Keith.
Yes,
and also thank you to our official studio sponsor, Old Mutual Insure. Please continue the interaction by liking, sharing, and commenting on this episode. Remember, it's #TIA 2021, and next week we'll see how well the top 6 fare behind the wheel. So be sure to tune in on Thursday, the same time, same place. This is Simon Coleman, and this is the Insurance Apprentice 2021. Until next time.